Yeah, I mean, when I was playing secular music, God Dethroned, D-side, all of those were, influences back in the day. But then, um, after a while, we played a concert in a college, and all my friends were doing dope, and I was sitting there all alone, and I felt God nudging me at that time. Is this what you want to do with your life, or is this the direction that you want to be going? And I said, no, Lord, this is not, because I grew up Christian, although it never went inside. I knew about Jesus, but I didn't know Jesus. But at that moment when everybody's going the wrong way, he just pulled me out from there and said, I got something different for you. That was like 25 years back, and gave up on all the secular bands, gave up on all the activities we used to do as secular band, and I started this whole thing as a Christian band. And but the metal never goes out of you, man. I mean, the metal is always part of you. So that's what I do right now. So the gap that I found back then that didn't exist, that's the gap that I try to fill today.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Bats in That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And today we'll have a special guest from somewhere on the East Coast right here, but we got welcome our boy, Moncy Abraham, aka Shieldbearer. How you doing today, brother?
Thank you, Brian. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show. It's amazing.
No worries. And I guess which part of the East Coast are you hailing from to fill in the audience?
I'm in Chantilly, Virginia. It's close to DC, about 30-35 minutes from DC.
Lived in Virginia your whole life, or have you jumped around a good bit?
We moved here in 2016, so about 10 years now, coming up on 10 years.
That's good to hear. And I guess you got a good amount to talk about with your new project here, Shieldbearer. So I guess let's go ahead. I guess tell us what you've been up to recently in terms of Shieldbearer. I guess you guys got some new material out.
Absolutely. So we have a new track that we dropped today. We just launched it on YouTube this morning, and very excited to this is the first time that something like this has been done, because we did something different that nobody's ever done before. So last month we set up a website, and as an independent artist, you know how it is an overhead when you have to update YouTube, and then you go to Spotify, and then now you got a website that you got to maintain also, right? I didn't want that overhead, so we built a system into the website that updates the website automatically. So whenever there's a new release that drops, there's a system on the website that detects the new release, and then the website updates itself. So we just tested that this morning. The release dropped at 9 o'clock, and by 10 o'clock, the website has updated itself. The homepage is showing the new banner for the new song. The lyrics page is showing the lyrics for the new song. And I have a system where before the song goes live, we show the lyrics, we show the artwork, and we tell the fans, hey, this is what's being built right now. That page gets wiped out for the new song that I'll be writing in the future. So all of this happened. It's like watching a rocket launch, man. I'm just so excited, the way it went. Just amazing. Like, this is the first time that someone's done something like this, a website that just updates itself when a new song is out. So really excited about that.
Is it one of those like Wix, Squarespace sort of websites?
No, I built it from scratch. So it's not a template that we stole from Squarespace or Wix or any of them. It's built from scratch. And there's things on the website that we put that no other band, I don't think any other artist has things that we put on that website right now. So really excited about it.
You didn't almost make like it was almost like an AI sort of thing. So it's like almost like, hey AI, I got this new song coming out. Can you update the website whenever it's ready to say it?
You're right. That's what we utilized actually. So we built a combination of different AI systems. One AI does some part of it, hands it off to another system, and then that takes over, does its part. So it's a whole system that we tied together end to end, so that when you release a song, let's say Friday night, by Saturday morning your website is up to date and all the details are on the website, and you're sleeping, you don't have to know a thing about it. So I don't think normally what happens, you have a team that does this for you, right? You tell them, hey, we got this new thing coming, we got a new show coming up here, and then they update the website. It takes a day or two. This is like near real time, man. Like within 1 hour, everything's already up there. So really proud of how that's working right now. We did a war game scenario a week ago just to test whether it'll work. It worked well then. Had few hiccups today this morning, but then nothing that we cannot fix on the go. But still, like 60 minutes, less than 60 minutes, start to finish. The website is up and running. It's showing the new song and all of that. So really excited about that.
I guess are you one of the bandmates, real good tech geek? I don't know if you're part of a geek squad or something like that.
Yeah, man, I am a telecom engineer by profession. So that's what I do in my day job, and my night job, I'm Batman. Not Batman, Shieldbearer. So,
The glasses
yeah.
gave it away. So yeah.
So, yeah, I did telecom engineering for 20 years, and that's what I do. I, maintain, build IT systems, manage teams at work. That's my day job. So, employed some of those what I learned into my music also. Handing off to AI systems what I don't personally enjoy doing on the day to day. I just hand it off to the AI system. Okay, you deal with this. The same thing with we get a lot of flack because we are experimental in some way. Like we're doing a hybrid, we're doing a mix of real instruments. Like you can see the whole wall of guitars on my back. We are clubbing it with AI system, so it's a hybrid mix of AI and real musicianship, right? So we get a lot of flack for that, and sometimes people can be real rude. So we have a bot that I put on the website. I said, hey, I'm done. You want to argue, go argue with the bot on the website. The bot's waiting for you. And the funny thing is, they have to go argue with an AI system and talk to it about the demerits of AI. So I find that really comical for some reason. That okay, you talk to the bot.
So the whole talk to the hand, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I always say talk to the bots.
Bot,
So,
right?
I guess so. All right. We just cover everything else here too about AI because normally it's because such a hot topic like these days here too. That'll come a little bit later, as well as our whole wall, in this case, a Hard Rock Cafe, if we want to say it that way too, with the guitars and everything.
Right.
But first off, Moncy, welcome to my podcast here, mate. And the way it's going to work is I just want to ask you some questions, get to know you more both as the musician, but also as the individuals as well here too. But that's like you're representing the full band. But first off, how many members are in the group? Is it just you and one other person?
It's just me right now. My kids
Just
help
you.
out with some of the stuff sometimes. Like my older son Sean, he plays the drums back there, but he also helps with some of the social media stuff, maintaining the social media pages, things like that. And then my younger one Leo, he's written one of the songs that we put on YouTube. It was completely accidental, but we liked what he put, so we just used that. So it's me and my boys. My wife, she's behind the scenes. She's the one that keeps the whole system running. Couldn't do any of this without her. But as far as most of the heavy lifting goes, like playing the instruments, writing the lyrics, maintaining the website and the social media and audio engineering and mixing and mastering and all of that, that's primarily me.
All right. So we can kind of say it's almost like a Brady Bunch. So it's deal going on. So
Yeah. Family
right.
for four.
that makes sense. All right. But I guess before we do jump more into the band about the history about it too, I guess let's first get to know more about you in general. So for the first question, I guess tell the audience about yourself. Who are you and how did you become a musician?
Absolutely, yeah. My name is Moncy Abraham, and I play guitars for Shieldbearer right now. I've been playing guitars for 25 years. I started playing around the year 2000 when I was in college. My main influences when I was growing up were Metallica. I know, they get a lot of hate now, but I love Metallica. Van Halen, you can see the Eddie picture on the back. He's been one of the greatest, guitarists of all time. And I had a cassette back in the day that my dad gave me. It had Van Halen, Top of the World, Grammy Awards 1990. That was my first introduction to music and metal. And the solo on that song just blew me away. And that's how I decided, okay, I want to play guitar. I want to play lead guitar, and that's how I really got into it back in the day. played with a lot of secular bands. Somewhere down the line, I got saved, and I said, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. But I found this new life in Jesus, and I want to do Christian music and gospel music. But you look at the gospel music scenario, you got like Don Moen and you got like Michael W. Smith. Like, I don't like that kind of stuff. I want something heavy, right? That's because that's been my whole musical life. And then I was really glad to find bands that fit that mood, like Petra or White Cross, and now Demon Hunter and all of these bands, right? So I'm like, yeah, this is my lifeblood. This is what I'm about. Yeah. So that's how I started off. And then I'm like, okay, really need to delve into the lyrics. We really need to, give people some hope, because that's what everybody needs, right? You can write a song about dope or doing drugs and doing all kinds of wrong stuff, but where is that leading you? In the end, people need hope, and that's what they are searching for. So let's give them that hope. Let's give them the love that only comes from Christ. So that's been the whole mission. And we formed a band back then in 2005 called White Noise, and you can look up a White Noise online. We were like Christian metalcore in India back in 2000. Nobody was doing this kind of thing back then. So in some ways, we pioneered the scene in India, like Christian metalcore scene in India. We started that thing over there. And then after a while, people, they get jobs, they get married, they have kids, different priorities, they move away. So a lot of folks from the band moved away. Like two of us moved to the US, the singer moved to Canada. So then we were like, okay, it's not going to work. So then everybody's doing different things. But then COVID happened after that. And then when COVID happened, like we said, okay, we've got some spare time on our hands. Let's do one more song and let's do it online. So rather than, rehearse in garages, like we used to rehearse in a garage, like we were a real garage band back then. And it was full of mosquitoes and all those mosquitoes biting you. That's how our drummer actually learned to play fast, because the mosquitoes were killing him. And that's how we all got faster. But that's how it all started, man. Like way back in 2000, like carrying the amp on a motorcycle, going to practice, and then all the guitars on the back and all of that. And yeah, so it's 25 years of music history behind me, and this is what I'm doing right now.
Did you say which part of India you grew up in? Were you in New Delhi?
No, I was in Bangalore. It's on the south.
I was going to say, because in some of the jobs I worked at, we've tend to have a good partnership with India, but it was like Mumbai, Chennai, and those sorts of places. So
I was actually born in Mumbai, but then moved to Bangalore for higher education. And then that's where the whole music thing started, man. So Bangalore is like the metal capital of India, I will say that. Although some people might disagree, but there's so many underground metal bands over there. Really amazing stuff.
I guess the one Indian band I actually do know was Bloodywood.
Bloody
So is that what,
yeah, they're killing it right now.
was that where they're out of? They're out of Bangalore?
They're from New Delhi.
New Delhi. Okay.
Capital, yeah, yeah. They've got this amazing mix of drums and the dole and the Punjabi rhythms and the tribal rhythms that they have there, clubbed with this new metal thing. That's an explosive formula. I love that.
That's for sure. That's why we salute our Indian brothers out there too. Keep going strong there. So, all right. So I guess some of the secular bands you were a part of, I guess, they kind of use it like anti-Christian sort of rhetoric, like what you sometimes got with like DSI and those sorts of groups. And I guess go ahead and talk about those real quick.
Yeah, I mean, when I was playing secular music, God Dethroned, Decide, all of those were, influences back in the day. But then after a while, we played a concert in a college, and all my friends were doing dope, and I was sitting there all alone, and I felt God nudging me at that time. Is this what you want to do with your life, or is this the direction that you want to be going? And I said, no, Lord, this is not, because I grew up Christian, although it never went inside. I knew about Jesus, but I didn't know Jesus. But at that moment when everybody's going the wrong way, he just pulled me out from there and said, I got something different for you. That was like 25 years back, and gave up on all the secular bands, gave up on all the activities we used to do as secular band, and I started this whole thing as a Christian band. But the metal never goes out of you, man. I mean, the metal is always part of you. So that's what I do right now. So the gap that I found back then that didn't exist, that's the gap that I try to fill today. I try to give Christian lyrics, powerful, metal lyrics have to evoke some powerful emotions. I try to put that into the music along with this formula that I have going right now with uh, Christian metal, AI giving some part of the output, my influences, my Christian faith, the theology, all of that forming the other part. Combine it all, it's dynamite. So that's I'm really enjoying it right now. So
Sometimes we do talk about some people who do have Christianity as their sort of belief system there too. But they also got to like the heavier death metal sort of music there too. I know one example was like Burial Extraction. I interviewed Brian a while back,
oh
and
yeah, yeah.
but
I've heard of him before. Yeah.
actually I was going to ask like if people initially struggled and then they came back into Christianity afterwards at some point in their life. So it seems like that was kind of your case there too. So did you struggle before up until that point?
It definitely did. I don't know Brian personally, but I have seen him post on Christian metal forums, so I know he is somewhat of an icon in that space. I've never met him, I've never spoken to him, but he's a respected figure. That I don't know his personal story, but I think that is kind of like the common theme for everybody who's been saved and is a musician, right? Like you come out of all those things, and then you have those passions, and you build a world around all of that and dedicate it to Christ, right? So I guess it's kind of like a similar way that he's also experienced.
Actually, fortunately for him, it wasn't technically too bad, but it's always a question I like to bring up there too, because I think there was people who have struggled and they got saved at some point. So, but I did interview him. So after here, I could probably share the link with you if you want to see his interview on my podcast.
Absolutely, yeah, I would love to check it out. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into Shieldbearer. So I guess is this a relatively new project, or have you kind of been going with this since COVID?
No, this started 1 year back. So last Easter, April 20, is when we put out the first song. So I was like, okay, this is Resurrection Day. Jesus rose from the grave. It's very symbolic of our Christian faith, right? So that was the day that I decided we were gonna launch our first song, and Slayer of the Grave. That was the name of the song that we released then. Um, when I look back at it, it sounds not as powerful. Like, the tools have evolved, they have changed a lot in 1 year. This was like the early iterations of what AI tools were allowing then. So there is a little bit of rawness to the sound, and it's not as polished. It's not as refined. I have it in my mind to do a remake of that track, as an anniversary tribute. I thought I'd do something like that this year, but this year we got sidetracked with the website, and but eventually we will make a remake, a 2026 remake of Slayer of the Grave. But that started like 1 year ago. April 20th is the date that we started.
It's funny. It happens on April 20, and then there's the other 420 with the whole Mary Jane and all that stuff. So, so hey, double whammy before you know it. So hey, let's celebrate.
I didn't think of that until you mentioned it.
It was quite by accident there too, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. So, all right. But I think you did release a couple songs, so this one will kind of tie in like maybe a couple questioning points right here. But I guess Galilean and Let My People Go. So, could I talk about those? I guess.
Absolutely.
I guess the lyrics behind them too, and I guess even the music too. So go ahead.
Yeah. So Galilean, it's the word, when you think about the word, right? Like, the first thing that comes to mind is the Galilean moons, right? You've got the moons of Jupiter. I'm watching a program on Discovery. They're talking about the moons of Jupiter, and I'm like, okay, but Galilean, that sounds very familiar. I mean, Jesus was a Galilean also, right? So then but that's a different world. It's a completely different meaning to that word. But then when you think about it, the moons, Galileo was looking for the moons. He was studying astronomy. But then Jesus, he's the Son of God. He's the one that set all of this in motion. The entire universe, runs by his command, right? So it was just a play on that word Galilean, saying that, okay, we're looking at different scientific facts in the song. So for example, we're talking about Mars and about how it's got all these canyons of rivers and all that. And then we talk about the dust storms on Jupiter and all of that. And it's powerful. The universe is really powerful. But then when you look beyond it, you realize that there's a God who put all of this in motion. And it's not like, big bang boom and then all of this happened and then here we are, right? I mean, God set that whole process in motion, and he's the one that actually walked on the this planet, and he's the one that walked on this earth as a human, as Jesus, but he still holds the whole world together in his hands. So it was a play on all of that. We're talking about Mars, we're talking about Jupiter, then we talk about the Milky Way and the galaxy. We're expanding in the universe, but then in the end we point back to the Galilean. He's the one that holds all of this together. So that was the theme of the whole song. Really love it how it came together. We got a lot of good reactions on that. We had Eternal Flames from the UK. They really loved the song. They put a whole feature out on their website about the song, and they did like a 2 hour, a 2 part interview with me, and it was so big. There was so much content on it. Like they're like, we're gonna have to split it into 2 parts, and then they put 2 parts. One part just dedicated to Galilean on the website, and the other parts more about me talking about Shieldbearer, things like that. But yeah, a lot of folks love that song. And then Let My People Go. That's the song that we just launched today. The story behind that is, this Exodus story, right? Moses, like, he's talking to Pharaoh, like, he's got these problems. Like the Bible says, he was stuttering, he couldn't speak properly. But then God, God's got a sense of humor. I feel like he takes human frailty and he puts him in the throne room of power. Like Pharaoh is like the most powerful guy in Egypt at that time, and God's telling Moses, you with your stuttering mouth, you walk into that hall where Pharaoh is sitting, and you tell him, God is telling, let my people go. Right? Like, that's like somebody walking into the White House and telling Trump, hey, do this, or something like that. That's kind of like the analogy at that time, right? But yeah, so that's the theme behind the song. And you heard the old blues song that goes, right, go down Moses, tell old Pharaoh. So it's a play on that, like borrowing words from that. I love the blues, I love the old music from the 60s and 70s, so I listen to Sirius XM a lot. I love those stations. So taking some of those influences, but and then combining it with metal, still keeping that message relevant. It was relevant in those times. I want to make sure it's relevant for the generations going forward also. So taking that same message, just adapting it to metal, and then putting it to the audiences over here. So let's see how this one does. It was just released today. We'll see how it goes.
The way you kind of talk about some of the influences here too. Are you kind of like doing sort of like a Dream Theater style where you have the clean vocals, but then like it's the heavy down two guitars and maybe some double kick? I don't know how much your son is actually playing in terms of drumming wise.
Yeah, so it depends. So I play around with Easy Drummer sometimes. You've heard of Easy Drummer, Superior Drummer, all of those. Sometimes I'll program a track. I'm not a drummer, so I really cannot play drums, but I'll play just for fun. But I can program it really good in Easy Drummer, get double bass going, and then I can play some chugging guitars on top of that, get like a rhythm track in place, and then solo a lead guitar track on top of it, get all that, and then give it to AI and see what can you make of this, what variations or what combinations can you make of this initial piece that has been created, right? So that might be some way that I go about it. Or sometimes we might just start with guitar riff that I had in mind, and then build on that and see what drum pattern would go with this. So different ways. So sometimes we start with the lyrics. I really love the lyrics of Petra, Bob Hartman. I really love the thought and the effort that he puts into writing those lyrics. Like every lyric is meaningful and every word is there because it earned its place over there, and everyone is borrowed from scripture, right? So I really want to follow that style when we're putting out music, and I want to make sure that there is scripture in all of the songs and people are hearing the word of God. And one of the songs that we did is called The Man, and it borrows from When the Man Comes Around, right? Johnny Cash, When the Man Comes Around. It borrows from that, because if you look at the lyrics of the song, he's actually talking about what's going to happen in Revelation, right? When Jesus comes around, how's it going to be? And then I'm thinking like, okay, what if we really delved into scripture and found out what did the man himself say was going to happen when the man comes around, right? So the entire lyric of the song is scripture verbatim. Like I didn't change a word. I just took the scripture, I put that into music, and that's the whole song, except for when the chorus comes around, when he says, when the man comes around. That's the only addition. But every other, the verse, the bridge, all of that is scripture. I tied it together. I played the Misa Poogie on that. I ran a Boss BF3 flanger, and I did some flanging on the side, so you can hear that flanger cut through. So yeah, it's a culmination of a lot of musical influences coming together in one song. So
Said the best of boogie there too. It's almost like meant to be like a blues sort of song going right there too. You get the groove going, all that stuff.
you borrow from a blues song, but then you make it a metal song with all your influences, right? So that's kind of what I did there. Yeah.
Actually, that happened like some sort of like the heavy death metal or even technical death metal groups. One that comes to mind is one like Cryptopsy. Like for one moment you hear like the whole death metal sort of thing going on, and then it suddenly switches to like a jazz little portion going on right there. So
I love the way the surprises they throw in. I don't know if you heard of this Christian metal band called Tourniquet. Tourniquet, have you heard of them?
I don't know too many. I don't know too many songs, but at least I heard about them. But go ahead.
There's this really amazing songs, and they are so progressive, too progressive, and there'll be like a really heavy section, and at the end of that section somebody starts whistling, and it's like it just throws you off completely, like it's a completely different direction that it's going, like in the song. And there are so many surprises, so many changes that they throw into the song. I love that. Like, you keep the listener guessing. They never know what's coming next, right? I love that. So yeah, that's really amazing that you mentioned Cryptopsy, and Tourniquet. That's been one of my huge influences. Gary Lanier, Luke Easter, all of them, amazing band.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned about Eddie Van Halen there too. Actually, I was looking at that poster at first. I wanted you to tell me who it was first, because for some reason it kept looking like Weird Al Yankovic for some reason at first. So
I love Weird Al too. I think the guy's a genius. He probably has an IQ of 160 or so, because how do you come up with lyrics like that? Those lyrics are insane, and the ideas, the parodies and all of it, like people used to say, you haven't actually made it in life until Weird Al does a cover of your song. So he's amazing. And maybe I would love to go watch a Weird Al concert sometime. He's guy's a genius. But there's also, people on the Christian side of it. I don't know if you've heard of Apologetics. Have you heard of that band? They do similar to what Weird Al is doing, but on the Christian side. Like, for example, one of the songs is called "God Will Kick in the Wall." It's a take on Another Brick in the Wall. But the story is about, the Jericho story in the Bible, right? Like God, he destroys the wall. So they're singing about God kicking in the wall, but the whole tune is based on another brick in the wall. And I think that's a different level of genius, some of these bands, what they've been doing.
it was bound to happen at some point, I guess, where somebody actually took that concept and put it into a Christian sort of music sort of style. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess, where did you get that poster? I guess, was that something you bought recently? I'm not sure if you got it from a Walmart.
Temu.
Temu?
I got it off Temu, yeah.
I wasn't sure if they put a little signature on it too. I wasn't sure if it would be like his and they just plugged it on there too. So.
That would be something. One of my biggest regrets is never being able to see Van Halen live in concert. But maybe I'll make it a point to go watch when the remaining members do a tour. I know Joe Satriani is playing with them right now. If they come in the area, I would love to go see. I really love, Van Hagar. I think, Sammy Hagar really took it to the next level with Van Halen. I mean, no disrespect to Dave, but then I started listening to Van Halen with the Balance album, and the Balance, that album is, in my opinion, probably the best, hard rock album that's ever been done. And like every song on that album is incredible, right? So, yeah. So Van Hagar, if they tour in this area, I'd love to go see them.
That was actually the last one they did with Sammy. I guess the last full album, I should say, because I guess they still did some music together with him. But I would say, I think for me, yeah, it was more 1984, which was the last one I did with David Lee Roth. So that was my first introduction to Van Halen. Plus, I'm also the same way. I did not see him live, so join the club.
So. Yeah. But I did see Deep Purple live last year, so that was something. Yeah, those guys are still amazing.
It's like Jiminy Christmas, you guys are old, so still going strong. All right. So I guess before we do jump into gear, just real quick, kind of jump out of the hard topic of COVID right here too. So So you had moved over from India, I guess, in like 2016 or something like that. And then it seemed like when COVID had hit, I guess, how bad was it for you on a personal level, family wise? And then not too sure what you were doing music wise, because I know you mentioned earlier about white noise, doing online sort of
Yeah.
project or collaboration, if we want to call it that. So go ahead.
Yeah, so COVID, yeah, it was one of those weird phases, right? Like I wearing the mask and walking around. Like sometimes now we will laugh about it because nobody's doing that right now. But then back then, you'd have to wear a mask, go into a restaurant, and then you couldn't sit inside because it's COVID. So they'll make you sit outside the restaurant, but they'll put tents outside so you can sit outside. But you're still sitting inside, outside, right? It was weird that way. And then you'd have to wear that mask and walk around everywhere. And church really took a hit. Like nobody was coming into church, but I was part of the worship team there. So we'd go in and we'd play on the stage, and then they would live stream it for everybody watching. So we did that for a long time. Like we were on the stage, we were playing it, they would record it, live stream it, play it for those three services. So that happened. And okay, we all had to adapt around it. The good part was though that we didn't have to go into work as much as we had to. Like they said, okay, now you all can work from home. So now you got freedom. Like you're saving hours on commute, right? So you're saying 2 hours a day just traveling in traffic, right? You're saving all of that time. And people are at home, like you're working, but then there's also so much of spare time. So then I connected with my bandmates from White Noise and said, hey guys, what's going on? Let's do something. And then we re-recorded one of the original songs that we had from back in the day. It's called Crush. It's on YouTube right now. We were really fortunate. Like we got the engineer from As I Lay Dying to mix and master the song for us. So that was huge, and it sounds incredible. Like he made us sound, even just if we were just an indie band, a garage band, he made us sound so good on that record. Like I'm like, okay, wow, this is incredible. So really fortunate. Like I recorded the guitars from here. We had my friends Ranjit and Sujit, they are brothers. They live in Pennsylvania, and Ranjit plays the keyboards and Sujit plays the drums, and they recorded their parts. And our singer was from Canada. He recorded his parts in a studio in Canada. Our bass player's in Australia, so he sent in his bass parts from Australia. So we were like collabing on BandLab and all of those tools. I mean, they have evolved now, but this was like so many years back during COVID. We used all of those tools to see, okay, how we can record a song. Well, we did that one song, we put that out there for fans. People loved it. It's just a song that we used to play live. People really loved it. Just remade that with the help of all of these modern tools and put that out there. That's one of the biggest achievements we did during COVID as a band. So we're still talking, about collabs right now. We're working with a few other musicians also, trying to work out a tribute, a song. I won't say who it is for at this time, but maybe once it's done, we'll have another one of these sessions, and then I'll tell you all about it. But that is in the works also right now. We're doing a collab with different musicians from around the globe, and it's coming together right now. So we'll see how that pans out. Yeah.
Actually, I was going to ask if you were still in touch with White Noise. I guess you guys figure maybe try to get back together for another online collab.
Oh, very much. We have a WhatsApp group that we use to connect all of us, and there's always, somebody sharing some silly joke, some Instagram reel on that channel. So I stay in touch with them pretty much every day. So yeah, it's a day-to-day thing.
That's good to hear. So, but it's also good to see you, the family, and also your friends are safe out there too. So, good to have you along here for the ride here, Moncy.
Absolutely, you too, Brian. Yeah.
All right. But just real quick, I don't really like to ask this question here too because because COVID had knocked a lot of bands off track to say the least when they were getting ready to like do tours, that sort of stuff, or maybe even like indie bands who were like trying to maybe get out the door, try to maybe make a name for themselves, that sort of thing there too. And then COVID happened. I guess from your perspective, in your neck of the woods, and even maybe since you're real close to DC, guess how's the music scene been since they lifted restrictions and everything from COVID?
I think it's grown back a lot now. Like concerts are happening regularly, and all the venues are up and running. We've even got new venues that's come up. Heaven Spit, that's in Winchester. It's about an hour's drive from here, but that's a new venue, and they host Christian bands in that place. and there's a lot of venues that are opening up, new avenues for music, and it's opening up like the scene. One of my friends, he just released a song yesterday. It's happening, like DC's got so many places, live bands are playing. We're doing a live show on the 9th of May at a church. Let's see how that pans out. Like, I still jam with my friends every other week, so we've got a band from our group from church. So the group is called the K group. It's called K, meaning koinonia, which means it's Greek for something, I think, like getting together or gathering, something like that. So it's called the K group band. Or we don't call it KGB, but then we just go by K group band. Or we just jam and different places. Like some church invites you to play, we'll go there and play. We did a show a few weeks ago at a mall, and it was really amazing because we do that show every year at the mall, at the Dallas Mall here in Virginia. And we're out there playing Christian music, like we're playing Phil Wickham, we're playing Brandon Lake, that kind of song. And people are just shopping in the malls, people just walking by, and this Christian music blasting all over that place. So I don't know how they allow it, but they allow it. Like, they, apart from a few shop owners, nobody really had a complaint. So we do that. We keep doing that every year. And now we're going back to this church that we're opening for another artist who's touring. I think he's visiting from India or Pakistan. I'm not really sure. But we're going to be opening for him when he's over here. So, the live scene is happening. Like, I jam with my band every other week, and we're practicing. We're playing at our K group. We're playing at different venues, different churches. We're playing at Christmas. We're playing at Easter, all of these events. So live scene, that's one side of it. Online music, digital, that's another part of it. Either way, it's all good music. I'm appreciating all of it. I'm really loving the tools and the access that we have today in order to be able to do this.
I'll tell you the first one to say I've actually played at a mall too. I was gonna say, is that really like out of the open where like all the people are walking, or is there like a little spot they'll just have you in right there? Then
So we're
how's it
right in
work?
front of Macy's. So they put up a stage in front of Macy's, and we're playing Christian music right there in the middle of that mall. And after our set, I was actually walking around, like I took the elevator, and there's people in the elevator, and I hear them talking. Like, they're playing Christian music in the mall. It's sounding so good. Like, it's really changing the atmosphere of the place. And I'm like, yeah, it really is. They really love it. I mean, I'm like, okay, as long as people are blessed, you can play Christian music in a mall today in America. And I think that's the meaning of freedom. Like, you couldn't do this in another country. Like, I lived for 5 years, before I moved here, I lived in Dubai for 5 years. And, you have churches over there, but you couldn't like do an outdoors event like this without getting all kinds of permissions from the police and all of that. Like, it's not really, freedom. Like, you can be a Christian, but there's other places, where you couldn't really have a church, or you couldn't really have a worship session, right? I really appreciate, I love that freedom that we have here in America, that you can worship your God out in the open. And that's a freedom that's worth dying for. That's a freedom that's worth preserving in America. I really love that about here, that at some time, when I was in the Middle East, you could only hear like Arabic music on the radio, and it's I cannot hear any Christian music on the radio. But here, I turn on 91.9 WGDS. They're playing Christian music. The Message is playing Christian music. Like, there's so much of Christian music that I can listen in this place. And to me, that is the meaning of freedom, that you can worship your God in freedom in this place. That's something really worth preserving.
I guess were you in Dubai, and I guess I don't know what other places you were in the Middle East, but I guess it was more so work related, or did you try to also get your music in?
Yeah, they were work related. So I was deployed there as part of the company that I was working with in India for 5 years. So I worked with some of the telecom companies in the Middle East. So Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, all of those places. Still did some music while I was there back then. Some of the artists visit Dubai, so you get to do a set along with them. Like Steve Kuban was one of the artists that visited Dubai at that time and did a show at our church. So we got to play along with him, accompany him on his set, things like that. So yeah, the music has been happening there also. So it's just been an ongoing journey.
the underground in Dubai before you know it.
Yeah,
So I guess I mean, hey, that's just about everything there too, to be honest. So
right, right. Have you been there?
I've never been, but you know what? Just the way some people have described it, just like reading like on a post or something.
Okay.
It's like one of those things. Like just go once for the experience, and
Yeah,
that's it. That's almost what it seems like because it feels like it's too artificial. Because of like you mainly just going and shopping at malls. I think it would
yeah,
be nice actually see that giant pool. I think they had that goes like oceans deep
right,
or
right.
something, or even the indoor ski
Yeah,
ring or something. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's malls and deserts, malls and deserts. Like you, that's how the landscape is. Like you cross a desert, you'll come to a huge mall, and then another desert. 4 hours, you can go from one end of the country to the other. You keep going a little more, you are in Oman, which is like the next country, right? So it's a very small place, but there's a lot of things to see. If you have maybe about 3 or 4 days, you can actually see everything that you have there, and some unique experiences. You got the tallest tower in the world, the Burj Khalifa. They have that over there. Tallest, biggest, greatest. That's what they aim for. That's what they do. So, really worth visiting once if you're there that side of the world sometime.
we call it the giant needle if we wanted to say it that way.
Right. Yeah.
Reach for the sky, that whole deal. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're all crazy. I'm gonna say that. So all right, but it's at least good to see the music scene is doing well there too. And was there a bit of an underground scene in Dubai or any other places you've been to in the Middle East?
There's a few pubs, and there's a few live music venues over there that bands come in and play. And I have been watching some of those bands play. Like I'm photography. That's one of my interests. So whenever friends band is playing, I take some shots of them, give it to them, and they'll be really happy. Put those on their website and things like that. So there's a small scene, underground scene that is coming up. A lot of good music over there as well. But it is underground. They probably don't get as much news coverage or as much exposure as you would get over here. Like probably need someone like a Brian in that place to be able to cover all those bands over there also. So it's a good thing we have all of these media outlets and all of this over here. Another part of the freedom that I mentioned here, right? So yeah.
Depends on the language barrier there too. So we'll have to see if we ever get to it
Well,
at some point.
I think just about everybody over there speaks English. You can get away with just knowing English over there because it's such a cosmopolitan place. There's people from all over, and the food is amazing. I'll tell you that. Like you got so many varieties of food, and they're all amazing food and cheap. Like you being maybe 5 dirhams. 5 dirhams is probably less than $1 for a shawarma. That's really amazing, and they keep it that way. Like the sheikh or the leadership there made sure that food prices never go up beyond a certain limit. So food is amazing there, and really cheap. I love that about that place. Yeah.
You gotta have to if you want to keep it a cosmopolitan place, as you mentioned earlier. So
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right. But maybe at some point we'll see if we can find anybody in the UAE who would like to come on here too. So
Yeah. Maybe I can connect you to some folks there.
I'll hold you to it. So
Yeah.
we'll talk afterwards about it. So all right. So now we can jump into the fun topic of gear. So I guess all the guitars, and then I guess I don't know if you used them all for this project right here too, but I guess feel free to share. I guess what you use in terms of gear, both physically, and then I guess also what you use on the computer, like the DAW and everything else. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guitars, as far as they go, you can see behind them, a lot of them are Ibanez, and a lot of them are the same model, but just a different color of the same model. So that as the RG 920, the one in red that you see over there, I had it customized with John Petrucci's uh, pickup combination. So you got the DiMarzio tone zone and the Air Norton, tone zone in the bridge and the Air Norton in the neck. That's the red one, and it's the same guitar. That's the here on the gray. Gray is this exact same guitar, different pickup combination. I don't remember which one at this time, but three of those are the same exact guitar. And then some of those are others that I get from that one's a Firefly over there, the brown Strat that you see in the back. So depending on what the song needs, I'll use some of them. There's some more on this side. Maybe if I spin the camera around, you can see some more guitars on this side. But depending on what the song needs, I'll use whatever is lying around on some of those songs. When I'm playing live, the pedal board, I used to carry a huge Vox AC30 to all of those gigs. Like I have a set of wheels that I put under it just so that I can drag it in, throw it in the car, take it to all the gigs. But now I've gone ampless. Don't want to break my back. I've done that so many times, like carried amps on motorcycles to go to gigs back in my younger days. But now I just use a Boss IR2. That's what I was using for some of the live gigs. Got a Tonex recently. Really excited about the Tonex. They've got a VST that I use on the computer, and you can take the tone as it is in the VST, copy it onto the Tonex, and then you've got the exact same setup for your live gigs as well. So that'll remove some of the variables, like you get the same tone when you're playing through your computer, and you get the same tone when you're playing live. So using the Tonex right now, programming it with all of my patches and settings and all of that. uh, I've been a huge analog pedal board guy. So rather than, I never went to digital as much. Like I had a Pod Line 6, a Pod XT Live, and I hated it, absolutely hated it. Like when you play through a tube amp with a cheap Boss Blues driver in front of it, that is tone heaven to me. Like, you cannot get anything better than a sound. Like you run a Boss BD2 into a Vox AC30, that is amazing tone for me. And all of these modelers and Kempers, that's what they're all chasing. They're all trying to sound like the real thing, right? But the real thing is this is the real tone that they're all after. And then I love that BD2 driving a Boss AC30 for my clean tone, like the edge of breakup kind of tones, guitar tones. But when I'm playing a lead, I really like Brian Wampler from Wampler Pedals. I'm a huge fan of everything that he does. The Wampler Pantheon, that's my favorite, all-time favorite dirt pedal. And I take that everywhere. The Pantheon. I could run a board with just 2 or 3 Pantheons on it, and I'd be happy. It's my desert island pedal. So that's driving the lead section. I use that to drive the Tonex now. And then I have the modulation, some of the modulation pedals. So used to have the huge big the Strymon bridge. That's what I use for a worship setup. But now I got tired of programming it. There's too many knobs and too many controls. I don't need all of that when I'm playing a live gig for maybe 30 minutes. I don't need all of that. I just need something that I can step on, and I know that it'll sound just right. So I use a New Neighbor Immerse as my reverb pedal. The New Neighbor Inspire is my chorus and modulation pedal. And then I use the Keeley Halo. It's the Andy Timmons signature halo effect that he created. It's got those signature dual delays that are ping-ponging off of each other. I really love that effect. That's what I use for my delay sound. So that's pretty much the pedal board setup. And going direct to front of house through the Tonex or the IR2, let them tweak the sounds as they like. I'm getting my mix on my monitors. That's all I care about. The band is good on stage. That's pretty much my live setup. So yeah. And as far as VSTs go, so I really love some of the VSTs that Neural DSP is putting out. Those are amazing, really high gain tones that that you can get out of Neural DSP. Bogren Digital, incredible. Like sometimes you get paralysis, tone paralysis. Like you're tweaking so many knobs, you get confused. Okay, is it sounding good? Are my ears playing tricks with me? So Bogren solves that with just one plugin. They call it the amp knob, or it's just got one knob on it. And the idea is you just throw that into your signal chain, and it just sounds good. You don't have to do a thing. Like you just drop it in there, it sounds good. It will sound good in a mix because it's Jens Bogren who's created that patch, right? And he knows what sounds good in a mix, and he's put it over there. Just use it as is. You don't have to tweak a thing. So I really love the amp knob series that they put out. They've got a version for the 5150 amp. They've got one for the 6505. So it emulates all of those. And if you're a fan of those amplifiers from that era, just drop it in the mix and it'll make sure you sound good. So that's what I love using on VST. So yeah, that's pretty much my whole signal chain.
So you can open up a store at this rate with all the stuff you got there, but so
I mean, I should. I've got so much stuff like around. We get the tag of being an AI band. Like, hey, you guys are an AI band. I'm like, we got so much gear for an AI band. We should probably sell some of this stuff if you're just an AI band.
Did you do a digital bazaar? Is that how they pronounce it there too? Or the big shopping markets and all that stuff over there in the Middle East there too? Is that what they
Uh,
call it?
I don't know what I know what that is. I didn't get
Okay.
that.
I thought it was more like I thought that's what it was. Otherwise, I thought it was like a whole row of shops. Not like what you would see like in Turkey or like other parts of the Middle East. So
Oh,
this was
okay.
a joke. So it's all good. So all right, that's pretty cool. And I guess you're not really much of a touring band at this point, but are you going to maybe look for maybe some musicians and try to make this somewhat of a group that could play out? Or I guess what's your plans for really for the next 5 years? In this case, if we're doing like a job interview.
Definitely, if God willing, I get the right musicians with the right mindset, and we are able to tour. I would love to make that happen, but otherwise, we're just happy touring with the K Group band. Like we went to Lancaster recently, and we got invited to play over there. So I wouldn't necessarily say that's a tour, but then we happen to be in a place, they ask you to play, so the band comes on and they play, right? So those kind of things happen. But a real tour, like getting on a bus and traveling at this point is not really feasible. Like with the kids, with the soccer matches every weekend, and traveling with the kids all over the place, it's not really something. So at this point, I have to put family first. But with all of these tools that are available today, I can still be productive as a musician. I can still release music, put it out there for people to enjoy. It's really a great time to be a musician right now. So you got all these options. It's best of both worlds. But if God willing, God puts the people in your life, and then you have the opportunity to go play different places, I would love to take Shieldbearer on the road, go play a few gigs, different places. I would love to do that. Yeah, if that happens, we'll see.
I guess white noise. I guess is there ever a chance for rebirth? Maybe
Yes,
put the
if
band back together.
visas for people coming in from Australia and Canada and all of that. If that, it's a real limitation. But if someday we happen to all meet up someplace, maybe we can make that happen.
Get back into the Ozfest. Maybe get there. That would be nice. So, all right. I'll leave that up to you boys right there, but keep going out there, kicking some major ass and all that stuff. So,
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
but I guess since in terms of challenges, it seems like you don't have to worry about the whole thing with like, at least nowadays, maybe lugging the gear around, all that sort of stuff. But do you feel like your biggest challenge this day is maybe sort of the time management, driving the kids around to their FIFA matches and everything?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like I have to take Sean, my older son, to a soccer match right after this interview is done. So he's got a game he's playing here, and then tomorrow there's another game in Maryland. So I have to drive up all the way to Maryland for that game. We were in Pennsylvania a few weeks ago for another game. So a lot of time just goes in this traveling to different places. We'll see. Like maybe he's gonna turn 16 in a couple of years, and then he'll have his own car, so then I don't have to drive him all over the place. I probably have a little more free time on my hand. Maybe I can then show up to band rehearsals and gigs and practice and things like that when that happens. But for now, it's just family first at this time. So
Understandable. But is your son maybe eyeing up? Maybe try to work towards the FIFA? I don't know if he wants to
well,
at some point in his life.
yeah, he did work his way up. Like when he was a kid, he started as a rec team soccer player, and then he moved up to challenge. After that, he moved up to a travel team, and then now he's leveling up again. He's going to he was with the black team. Now he's going up to the next, which is like the pre MLS level teams. And then if he does well over there, he can maybe go to the MLS level. So he's worked his way up. And I tried to get him into drums. Wasn't really his thing. I mean, he can play drums. He's a decent drummer, but soccer is really his passion right now. So I'm like, okay, we'll push you as far as you want to go. Let's see how that works out. So that's where he is right now.
And say, hey, if he ends up being the superstar, gets a nice paycheck, be like, send me a paycheck every once in a while. So yeah. I need a new guitar there, son. So
Yeah, right. Like I don't have enough already.
Yeah. You can never have enough guitars. So
Right.
all right. But in all seriousness, I wish you best of luck going forward there too. So
Yeah.
all right. So it's okay. Now we delve into AI because I know you mentioned about it earlier there too with your website and everything. So I can see how it definitely helps in terms of the website and everything. But I guess what do you make of AI these days in terms of? Do you think maybe it's like a double-edged sword in a way? And I guess even the same thing with like social media.
AI, it's one of those things. I think we are very early in the phase. It's still evolving, but those tools are getting there. Like they're getting to a point where they can be really powerful, and sometimes you get a rap for using AI because it's an experimental tool. Not everybody supports it, and people say that it's stealing people's musicians' jobs and things like that. And there's questions about litigation. There's questions about whether it's ethical to use AI to train models to be able to learn how things are playing. There's a lot of open questions about that. I think it's one of those phases. Like music, it evolves time after time. It evolves. Like I could be one of those guys who like, hey, AI is taking all my jobs. Like I can't get gigs as a musician because of AI, or I can maybe jump on the bandwagon, see how I can evolve as a musician, utilize AI, and also be able to play live gigs. Like people get really surprised when we say, hey, that we are an AI band, but we do live gigs. It's like that don't make any sense. Like you're an AI band, but you do live. But yeah, I mean, it's part of a journey as a musician, right? I could feel really bad saying that, okay, I spent so much of money on all these instruments, but now I can do all of this using AI. So like, what's the whole point of this? Or I can see how can combine all of them together. Like nobody said it was a competition. Like it's AI versus the real thing. I don't see it that way. I see it as another tool in your signal chain. Do what you can make of it, right? But we're not at that point, and I don't want to let it go to that point where you let AI do the whole thing. Like, hey, write a song for me, and just put whatever lyrics you want. No, that's not something we want to do, because the lyrics, that has to come from your convictions and your life experiences and what you felt and what you learned as a musician, as a Christian. It has to come from inside of you. So that part is the human part, right? And then I put my guitar parts to the song. But that's human playing, that skill. That's I have to try and keep up with that AI drummer, because that AI drummer is playing like it was Chris Adler from Lamb of God. And I have to learn to play along with that. And I think that's amazing, because I have a $200 guitar. I'm just a kid with a $200 guitar, but I can have a whole orchestra that is backing me in a matter of minutes. Like I don't have to pay $10,000 to a studio, to an orchestra to be able to do this right now. I have these tools that can generate it for me within minutes. And if I just want to jam and I just say, hey, spin up a backing track for me so that I can jam this kind of mood, this kind of atmosphere, it's ready and it's on the go. And I can use that to practice. I can use that to make myself a better musician, so that when I'm out there playing live, it shows that, okay, he's been playing, he's been practicing, things like that. So I don't see all the negativity. Like there's a lot of negativity about it, but I see there's a lot of positivity also, that you can utilize it as a tool, can utilize it to get the message that's in your heart out to the people, and you can be productive about it. And it's not just about the music. Like we utilized AI on our website in order to be able to make sure the site runs itself. Like you don't have to do a thing, the site's going to do itself. So there's other areas that you can utilize AI and technology in. So I don't want to be one of those Neanderthals that say, don't use technology, just play tube amps all the time. No, the technology's here, utilize it, right? So that's kind of my mindset right now. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, I always do bring the question up here too, but unfortunately, it seems to come full circle with the whole Terminator thing, especially since we
Yeah.
so we keep thinking of the James Cameron movie there and all that sort of stuff. So it seems like it's good in some areas, just don't put it in the military. That's the deal. So
Yeah, sometimes I feel like we run our whole website like a military operation. Like you see some of the logs that it printed out today when it's detected a YouTube release live. Okay, it's firing up different events, just loading up the detector, putting it into the database, all of that. I'm like, okay, this is Skynet. This is what's happening right now. Like it's doing things on its own, and I don't have to get involved. It's updating the website by itself. And this is only the beginning. Let's see how it evolves in the future. We'll see.
I guess so. But check carefully, good soldier, and we'll see what happens here too. So, all right. So I guess mostly we have pretty good questions here, pretty good. So let's jump into some extra fun ones here. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm curious to take a particular dish I had not heard about yet, but I guess what would you consider your favorite food of all time?
My favorite food is a biryani. A biryani. If it's an Asian Indian dish. It's different kinds of biryanis. There's a Hyderabadi biryani. There's an Ambur biryani. Different kinds of that. And you go to an Indian restaurant, they'll make a biryani for you. You go to another one, it'll be completely different from the one that you had the other one. But biryani is my favorite. With the chicken, marinated chicken, they use that along with rice. That's one of my favorite dishes to have.
I guess what sort of dish is it in particular? Is it mostly vegan, then you just throw meats on top, or is it
No, it's rice. It's flavored rice uh, with chicken, or you can also put mutton. Sometimes people put fish or prawns. Like the choice of meat is up to you. But so I like the chicken biryani. Like you put marinated chicken, or sometimes some people fry it. That's my favorite thing. But if you get a chance to try out a biryani at an Indian restaurant, definitely give it a shot.
That sounds good. I'd say my knowledge of Indian cuisine mainly stops at curry, to be honest. So sad, but unfortunately, it's true. That was mainly because of COVID there too. And we had got those HelloFresh, and a couple of them were actually curry dishes.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, not the best experience because I don't know if we were doing it wrong or. I think they wanted to be spicy hot. I think that's kind of what I think it's what they want to do. I don't know, but it's whatever.
I'll send you a list of combinations to try out, so that way you know what you're ordering, and then it'll sit together, right? I'll send you a list after this interview.
All right, sounds good. A great choice. Not sure if you drink, but if you do you have a favorite alcoholic drink? And then what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
So I don't drink anymore, so I gave that up. So I mostly drink non-alcoholic now. So my favorite drink right now is called Masti. Uh, it's made of buttermilk, but if you have an Asian uh, outlet near you, like a Lorde supermarket or something like that, if you go there, ask for Masti. It's spelled Masti. It's made out of buttermilk, and it's got all these Indian flavored masalas in it. So I could overdose on that stuff. It's really I like that stuff. So I'm just sitting around. I just have a Masti. That's my favorite thing to drink. Yeah.
I'd say that's new. But did you struggle with alcohol back in the day? I wasn't sure alcoholic or whether you just gave it up entirely because you just didn't see a point in it.
I didn't necessarily struggle with it, but it was more of like social drinking. You're with a group of friends and they're all drinking, so you also have a little bit with them, and that was part of my circle back then. So didn't struggle with it. I didn't get addicted to it or anything. It was just part of the scene back then.
Sort of a prerequisite when you think about it too, when you want to fit in with the metal crew. So
yeah, it's just sometimes you just do it to fit in because you don't want to be seen as the odd man out. Yeah.
I guess so. But nonetheless, great choice nonetheless. And that's definitely new. I never heard about that. So I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
So, all right. Not sure how much you get to movie or TV shows, but I guess you have a preference between the two categories?
Movies. I like going to movies. So we just went to see Michael yesterday. Great movie, amazing acting. I really loved what Jafar Jackson has done. I wish they showed some more. Like I wish they showed, they played the Eddie Van Halen Beat It solo, but they didn't show him in the studio with Eddie or anything like that. But I wish it actually went into some of those areas as well. But it was amazing movie. I really enjoyed it, and incredible. Like the sets and everything that they made, beautiful. And TV series, earlier we just binge watched some of the detective series. Like my wife is really big into those things. If I'm watching with her, then I'll also get hooked on, and then we have to watch the next episode to make sure what happens in the end. So Castle was one of the things that we would just binge watch on. And then now she's into like NCIS and other detective stories that she watches. So I'll watch them once in a while, but my mind is always wandering, so I cannot like focus on one episode for 45 minutes or 1 hour at one time. So I'm thinking about what's the next song to write, what's the next lyric. That's what's running in my head most of the time. So yeah.
I can see why. And actually, my mom, she's real big into the crime dramas, but she's recently got to a whole lot of the UK ones. So,
Okay.
so we always make the joke like the Brits are so busy killing each other. So because there's actually a whole bunch. It's all great acting, but it's always like, geez, how many do you need here too? Because it's almost like it's close to London, and it's like other parts of like the rural London area right there too, or
Okay.
even UK for that matter. So,
Okay.
yeah. Actually, for Michael, did they ever touch on some of the controversies of Michael Jackson's life in the movie?
They didn't. I wish they did because they it was mostly focused on the early years of Michael Jackson's life. I wish they went forward, like touch on all the controversies because that's really would be something. But at the end, they display saying his story continues. Maybe they'll come out with a sequel in future. I don't know. But if that happens, that'll be fun to watch. Yeah, because he was always looking after the next big thing, right? Like he was never one to settle for mediocre. He always wanted to be larger than life, like things that he did, outrageous things, but there'd be headlines, like whatever he did would become a headline. So like, that's the way that he really pushed himself forward. So amazing, what an artist, what a great musician. And he could play 14 different instruments. I guess most people don't know that about him, but he was as much of a instrumentalist as much as he was a singer, right? Like he was so super talented. And then dancing on top of that, like whew, the whole package.
The whole moonwalk and the whole
Oh yeah.
defying gravity,
Yeah,
defying gravity lean of what that'll do. Yeah,
I don't think anybody will ever come close to that level of stardom that Michael Jackson was. Yeah.
maybe sometime, maybe at some point, but we don't know yet. So it remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. So, all right, all great choices there. I guess what do you do in terms of hobbies outside of music and being a tech geek?
Hobbies, I like photography. So I have a photography page that I maintain on and off on Facebook and Instagram. So whenever we are at a place, take some pictures, landscape. I used to do portraits also before, but then not much time for that right now. So it's mostly more of landscape and nature photography, that kind of thing like that. And then when we're not making music, we'll go outside, play some soccer with the kids. So you can say soccer is another one of the hobbies. So photography, soccer, eating out, different places to try. So we just go to some of the different cuisines around here, try some of that stuff. So that's what we do. Yeah, those are hobbies.
I guess the place where you live at is it kind of a mixed blend with the Italian, the Mexican, and some of the I guess
Yes.
even Chinese, or I guess we could say it's all Americanized sort of food, but does it have a nice blend?
Yeah, it has a nice blend. Yeah. So some of these new Mexican restaurants opening up here, my kids are really enjoying that kind of thing. So we go to try out a different restaurant every week. So yeah, that's what's happening.
All right, that's good to hear. All right. And for the last of the fun questions, I guess who you been listening to in terms of music wise, whether they're independent or I guess we could consider mainstream.
Listening to. So I listen to a lot of Christian metal. Demon Hunter is always on the playlist. August Burns Red, Killswitch Engage, Lamb of God, huge influence. I love the tones, love everything about Lamb of God. But then also listen to some of the blues artists from back in the day, like everything's just pure and not commercial. Bob Dylan, incredible. I love Bob Dylan's lyrics and thought that he put into it. Uh, Bon Jovi, he's been amazing. I love Bon Jovi and the whole glam rock era of the 1980s. I like that. So I have Sirius XM. I just put that on when I'm driving. It's love the music that they play. A whole lot of different influences. I always find something to appreciate in any song that I'm listening to, even if it's a genre that I don't particularly like. The bass player plays a line, I can appreciate that about it. I always find something good in every song. So not really like, I hate this and I'll never listen to it again. Not really that kind of a guy. So, I appreciate all kinds of music, whether it's real, digital, AI, whatever you want, there's always something good to hear.
That's for sure. All right. Well, great choices right there. All right. So, Monty, we are down to one more question on my podcast. I guess before we jump into it, would you like to ask me anything real quick?
Yeah. How would you like the, when we put this live, should I put a link to this on my website? I'll put this on my social channels, all of that. Is that all right with you if I do that?
Yeah, I'll let you know. Actually, this one will premiere near the end of May. So,
At
it'll
the
be
end
all
of
good.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, I'll send you a link and then you do what you want with it afterwards. So,
Absolutely, yeah, that would be great.
all right. Anything else?
No, no, that's it. I think I just want to say thank you for this platform that you have and the interviews that you did. I'll make sure to check out the one that you did with burial extraction, and thank you for this platform. For giving us a voice, for hearing our stories and all of that. Like the kind of flack and the kind of hate that you get online. This is like a breath of fresh air what you're doing, and I really wish you good luck with your channel. I hope you have more and more viewers, and I hope you have more and more amazing musician artists that come to your show and this podcast. And good luck with all of that.
Oh, it'd be nice to get everybody to stop looking at the news, all that sort of stuff. So we got to work on that. So, but no worries. And also, I saw you on Facebook right there. So, in my joking sense, you did a good amount of praying, but he put it out there on Facebook. So that's why I was able to find you on there. So,
Okay.
all right. But if there's nothing else, here's how the last question goes. Given the amount of negativity that you've been seeing, like in the news or even maybe word of mouth for that matter, I think you had talked earlier about hope as well, and that's kind of where this question kind of leads you to. So, what would be your message of hope for musicians and people out there so they can try to move forward with their lives?
Absolutely. I think the only message of hope that I can offer is the hope that is in Jesus Christ, right? He's the one that died for your sins. He's the one that gave your life, and he loves you. And he did all of that because he loves you. And that is the hope that we have in Christ. And we have a hope and a future, is what the Bible says, because he said, I'm going to prepare a place for you. And we can believe that, we can trust him, because he loves us so much. And there's nobody else that'll love you like Jesus loves you. And there's no other hope that you will find that's an eternal hope like Jesus Christ is. So every song, every lyric, everything that we do, the website, all of it, it just points to one thing, and that is Jesus. And that's the message of hope that we are giving to everybody outside. So, yeah.
In that case, spoke like a true prodigy. So, yeah. All right. But thanks so much for sharing that, Moncy. It does really mean a lot. So, all right. So we have reached the end of the podcast right here, Moncy. We talked a little over an hour and 10 minutes. But I guess before we close out, would you like to give any shout outs to anybody real quick?
I'd like to give a shout out to my family and my friends who've been very supportive. My wife, she's been incredible. Like, she allows me to do all of this, and a lot of people cannot do this because family comes first. But my wife understands, and we've been able to work this out. We have different schedules. We're both working full-time jobs, and we still find time to be able to do all of this. It's our ministry in a way. So really want to say thanks to my wife and my family for being able to support me through all of this.
I would say you guys got to do like a Brady Bunch little segment, to be honest, the way you saw the intro in the beginning. So it would be funny, but it would be nice. So, all right. And just real quick for the audience, what social media and streaming platforms is your music on, as well as how they can find you so they can check you out and interact?
Absolutely. So we are on YouTube as Shieldbearer USA. That's one word, youtube.com/Shieldbearer USA. We are on Spotify. Just search for Shieldbearer. We're the first one that comes up. Black background, white logo. That's the one. That's the only official one. Same thing on Apple Music as well. We are on every platform that's streaming music. So just search for Shieldbearer USA, and the first thing that pops up will be us. So thank you for checking us out. Our website is called the same thing, shieldbearerusa.com. Make sure to keep a watch on the website as well, because that'll become more and more important as we put, automate more things on the website with the music and things like that. We want to build like a living pipeline where folks will be able to see things as we work on them. So, if I'm writing a lyric, we want to show them previews in real time of me writing the lyric on the website. Or if we finalize song names or artwork, I just click a button on my MacBook and it shows up on the website. So we're building pipelines and things like that. So the website will become more and more important as we go along. So that's another place that you can check us out as well. So yeah,
That's good to hear. Just real quick, where did you get the name Shieldbearer? Was it one of the Bible quotes, or was it just something that does represent Jesus in a way?
well, if you look at it, right? So back in the olden days, like medieval times, wars and all of them, a shield bearer is like the one that walks in front of the actual warrior, and he's the one that's taking all the blows. Like he's holding a huge shield and he's taking all the arrows and all of that. But the main warrior, is walking behind him. So the more we looked at it, we saw Christ. Like he's our shield bearer. Like he went ahead of us. He took the blows that were meant for us, right? The Bible says Goliath had a shield bearer who walks in front of him. Like King Saul had a shield bearer who would go in front of him. So that's where we got the name from. And like the more we looked at it, the more we found that, yeah, Christ is our shield bearer. Like the cross was our shield. Like he bore our sins on that cross. He took everything for us on that. He's our shield bearer. So that's the origin of the name.
All right. Probably should have asked that one earlier, but it is what it is. Okay. But thank you so much for sharing that, Moncy. And we have to close out like this. So, everyone, my guest today was Moncy Abraham, aka Shieldbearer, Heron from Virginia, right there, close to Washington, D.C. So, go hit all socials, all streaming platforms. Go check his music out and support this gentleman right here, as well as his family. So, we'll see what happens first. So, we did discuss a whole bunch of stuff. I guess he has some stuff that will release later this year, too. So, keep your eyes open on the socials for that. And nonetheless, Moncy, you do say because you know there's one pretty messed up world out there. Rock on. And lastly, strike a pose real quick. Stay tuned, y'all.